Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mac and Talk number 46 for Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. I am your host, Chanelle Allen. Mac and Talk is a Q&A conference call for anyone with Mac questions. Whether you are contemplating if the device is right for you and you have some questions, or maybe you do have a Mac and you're trying to get started with VoiceOver and need a little help and encouragement, or you could be a longtime Mac user with a question about an app or a feature, or just need some help troubleshooting something. For whatever reason, we are glad that you have joined us now or later on via the podcast recording. Before we can get to our questions, which is the main point of this, we just need to talk a little bit about iBUG today. Our website is ibugtoday.org, and that is the best way, along with our social media, to keep up with everything we have going on. In addition, on our website, you can look at the calendar of upcoming events, read more about who we are, our mission, what we do, and most importantly, sign up for membership. That sign up or registration is free, and there's no cost for participating in any of our training or social events. So head on over to our website. You can also find links that will take you to recordings of our previous workshops. And there's a link for Mac and Talk. If you want to join our Mac and Talk discussion list, you may find the info by going to that link. Also on our website, you will find info regarding the $500 raffle shopping spree that we are holding. If you pay $10 for one ticket or $50 for 6 tickets, you get entered into a raffle to win either an Apple, Amazon, or Google, maybe gift card. I can't remember. There's a few options there. iBUG is nonprofit, and so this is just a great way for us to raise some money and for you to have a potential to win some tech. Also, we are on social media. Our Facebook is facebook.com/groups/iBUG And in addition to reading up on our announcements there, you can post questions in between our events, questions or helpful information. On Twitter and Instagram, we are at iBUG. And despite all the turmoil at Twitter, Herbie Allen does his best to post lots of Apple news, tech deals, how-to guides, and much, much more, even in addition to our announcements. If you don't have Twitter, you don't use the Twitter app or just don't want anything to do with that, you can still go to twitter.com/iBUG and basically read a curated technology news feed to know what's latest and greatest with Apple and related things. And as far as, we are on YouTube. If you just search for iBUG Today, you will find our channel, and that channel is divided into playlists for the different training events. As a matter of fact, our iBUG Mac course, the videos are on there, I think from not the last class, but the class before that. They need to be updated, but you will find those. And if you're not able to participate live, then you can listen to the videos. We also have various podcasts for you to listen. If you prefer just to listen to a podcast in your smart speaker or favorite podcasting app, you can ask for iBUG Buzz, iBUG Mac and Talk, iBUG Cafe, and iBUG Apple Workshop. Oh, that's a mouthful. And we have a few events going on this week. On Thursday, we were actually talking about this right before the call got started. It's iBUG's Life. And George Batiste presents on many independent living skills and life skills topics. But this month's topic is featuring guest Herbie Allen to make meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans. So if that doesn't make your mouth water now, well, it definitely will on Thursday. And that takes place from 7 to 9 p.m. on our Zoom. All of the calls I'm going to mention take place here with the same Zoom link. Friday, we have iBUG Night at the Virtual Movies, beginning at 7:30 with the pre-movie social, followed by the movie at 8. which this week's feature is All Quiet on the Western Front. And once they're finished watching the movie, we have a bit of a discussion. On Saturday, we have iBUG Apple Workshop taking place from 2 to 4 p.m., where we get to hear another recap of Apple news and listen to our members demonstrate apps that they find useful or fun. And then every Monday, I hope you'll join us for iBUG Buzz. This call is devoted to the Mac, but iBUG Buzz takes place every Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. And that is for all your iOS, iDevice, and accessory questions for those devices. So on Tuesday, we will have iBUG Mac Buzz, and that takes place in Clubhouse from 5 to 6 p.m. Central. That's on the first and third Tuesdays. On the second and fourth Tuesdays, it's the iBUG Mini Buzz. So definitely join us in Clubhouse for those. And for any of our other events, stay tuned to announcements of upcoming dates for our iBUG Cafe, our Vila Book Club, Trekkie Talk, and more. But now it is time for us to go around the virtual room and just say who you are, where you are calling from, and if this is your first time joining us for Mac and Talk. And I'd like to extend a special welcome to all the people in my class, and it's really great to see former students and new timers here as well. So I'm Chanelle in Houston, and as I said, this is episode 46, so we've been doing Mac and Talk for a while. Okay, I believe I allowed everyone to unmute.
Okay, Z Krell from New Jersey. I'm with your MacBook training class.
Awesome.
Unmute audio. Currently unmuted.
This is Pete in Florida.
Hi, Pete. Welcome.
Thanks.
This is Brad. I'm in Dallas.
Yep, welcome.
Misty Hagan from New Jersey.
Glad to see you again, Misty. And did I hear Vincent?
Yes, Vincent in New Jersey.
Great. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Keith from Minnesota.
Merle and Keith. All right, welcome.
Go ahead, Keith.
Oh, he already.
Yeah, this is Merle from Lincoln City, Oregon, and I'm in the Mac class.
Great. Glad to have you.
This is Diane Scalzi from Michigan, and I'm also in the Mac training class.
Glad to see you too, Diane.
I'm Corey from Canada. Go ahead, Judy.
Corey.
Hi,
nice
Corey.
To see
sorry.
You. Go ahead, Judy.
Judy in Connecticut.
Great.
So in North Carolina, also in the Mac class.
Nice to see you. And who? Was somebody else speaking?
There's another Diane here from California, and this is my first visit.
Yay! How did you hear about us, Diane?
Oh my gosh. I couldn't tell you. I think it's been in my calendar for a while. It's just been I'm really struggling with a lot of voiceover issues. So I'm past due on joining. And then another friend reminded me recently, it was someone from Lighthouse, I think, told me about it. Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you, and we definitely tried to have the first part of the call be for any beginners with questions. So, I mean, if you want, you can ask right away, or you can ask later on as you get comfortable, but we're happy to have you here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Priscilla from Arlington, Texas.
Oh, Priscilla, welcome. Good to see you.
Likewise, Chanelle.
What?
Who is that?
I don't know.
A haunt from the past, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I see a couple people who haven't said hi yet. But
hi, this is Lynn from Delaware.
Hi, Lynn.
And I'm waiting for the Mac class where we learn how to make our Macs make our meatloaf for us.
Yeah, right? Ask Kirby. He'll have to teach that one. Yeah.
Wesley from Houston.
Welcome. You said Wesley?
Yes.
Welcome. And I think you've come here before, right?
No, this is my first one.
Oh, great. And how did you hear about iBUG?
Michael McCulloch sent an email message out.
Awesome. Do you have a Mac?
No, my wife just got one, and it has me curious.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you, and feel free to ask questions about anything that sounds confusing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right. And welcome to Gail and Stamatis, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Glad to have everybody here. So now is finally the time. Who would like to get us started with our questions? Who has a question?
Oh, I'll start.
Okay. So the way we do it, you say your name, I acknowledge you, and then you ask your question or make your comment. So go ahead, Diane.
Okay. Yeah, this is Diane. And I am wondering, because I've been listening to our lessons and review sessions on my Mac, and they've been coming up in the music app. And I'm wondering how I can rewind and fast forward in case there's something that I want to hear again, because I didn't understand it.
Okay. Fast forwarding and rewinding in the music app. Who is able to help Diane? So feel free, anyone, to answer if you have a thought. Just say your name first.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
I believe while it's playing, can't you hold down the command key and then hold down, you want to go backwards, you hold down the left arrow and it will go backwards.
That sounds right.
It seemed like when I did that, it like went back to the beginning or something. I'll have to try it again.
Hold down the left arrow. Now, I believe if you're in the music app, I believe if you navigate up to the top, there's something it calls the LCD area. I don't know why it calls it that, but if you interact with it, I believe there's a slider, and you should be able to interact with the slider, and then hold down VO and then left or right arrow to go move your current position forwards or backwards.
I forgot all about that slider.
Okay, well, I will give that a try. And I appreciate the information, Brad. I can always count on you.
Yep. And I think personally, from what I remember, it's been a while since but a lot of apps you can just press left arrow or hold down left arrow, unless you're in QuickTime, and then it really speeds things up. And people joke when I accidentally did that once with the Zoom instructions. It made it sound like I was on caffeine or something. But
yeah, this is Brad. That may be it. I could be wrong. I think she may be right. Command left arrow goes to the beginning. I think that may be it because I don't use the music app for this kind of thing.
Right.
I will use QuickTime Player, and
it's been forever since I've used the music app. So yeah, give one of those. Sometimes too, like the controls menu if you go into your menu bar, that'll show you different options and it'll give you keyboard commands you can use for some of those options. So
yes, okay. You're talking about good old VOM.
Yay, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. I will check both of those out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Diane.
Hi, Diane. The other Diane.
It is the second Diane.
Yeah.
So I have loads and loads of questions regarding using VoiceOver and Microsoft Word. And because I have so many, I'm wondering if there is a class that is specific to that application. I mean, as far as, I mean, I get stuck between pages.
Currently unmuted.
So
I get, needing to advance word or lines at a time as opposed to character by character. And so far, I've just taught myself, which isn't great. And I'm developing really bad habits. So I need a class.
Yeah, others could have different, but I would actually recommend, at least until you get the voiceover down, using an app called TextEdit, which is already built into your Mac, and it allows you to work in .doc, .docs, all kinds of those same different file formats. And I think I hear people unmuting, so does somebody else want to contribute?
This is Brad. I've used Word on the Mac.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Using voiceover navigation with Word is a little, I don't know what the right word is. It's a little weird. I find that if you try and navigate as you would without voiceover, even on similar to what you do on a Windows PC, it will, it's not the same as on Windows, but it's close. And you will find that a lot of it's almost like it's part Mac and part Windows. I mean, you can navigate by, without voiceover, you can navigate by character. I can't remember if you use the Option key to navigate with left and right arrow, navigate by word. Option key up and down should navigate by paragraph. Of course, just straight up and down we'll go by line. Make sure Quick Nav is turned off. That'll mess you up.
Yeah. It's messing me up all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure keep Quick Nav off all the time. I used to use it a lot when I was first learning the Mac. It was a neat new trick, but I learned pretty much, unless I'm on the web, I never turned it on because it'll cause you more problems than not until you get really familiar with what you're doing. A lot of the things, Command Home will take you to the beginning of a document, Home to the beginning of a line, End to the end of the line, Command End to the end of the document. You can also go through the menu bar, VOM to the menu bar, and go through the different pull down menus, and you will see a number of they're not voiceover keyboard commands, but they're just Mac OS keyboard commands that can be used. And that's true for any application. Look at the menu bar and see what keyboard commands you will find in there. And then there's a lot of them that aren't in there as well. But in a lot of cases, what works on Windows will pretty much do the same thing on Mac. I mean, most Mac applications you'll learn, if you learn TextEdit, navigating the beginning, end of a line, top of document, it's going to be the Mac way. But Microsoft Word, even though it's on a Mac, it kind of does things the Windows way. It's
which it came out on Windows first, right? So
well, yeah,
but if it will jump a line or a word at a time. Do you happen to know the command for doing that?
Yes, if you want to go a word at a time, you hold down I believe it's the Option key, and then left and right arrow. If that doesn't work, try the Control key like on Windows. But I believe because it's a Mac, it's the Option key.
Yes, that works in any text editor.
But just play with it,
And is there a way to do a whole sentence at a time?
Well, with voice,
home or end will go the beginning or end of the current sentence.
So one thing there are voiceover commands to move by sentence. It involves this thing called a rotor. I know we kind of get into some stuff that's a little bit, but it's doable, and that's why I teach. I use Word on the Mac. I've started to use it more, and I love it. But I recommend TextEdit for just getting down the basic voiceover navigation, and then once you get that down, But again, if you want to, if you're familiar with Word on Windows, by all means, try that, as Brad said, and you might find many things familiar.
It's
Yeah,
Corey.
I just,
I
all my
have Word.
manuscripts are in Microsoft Word document files. So I'm
You,
doing a
which you
lot of
can,
revision of existing work. And so I can't really do text edit,
but you
but I
can
might play with
open,
that on the side as kind of an exercise. So thank you.
yeah, and many of those files you can actually open in TextEdit because it does allow you to
Right.
open. But I
The
think
wrong
Corey
format.
had something.
Yeah, I was using Word. I had to go. I got some happy unemployment going on. I had to build a resume, and I used Word, but it was a couple of versions back, and I found that it was a little tricky because it would lose its focus, and I would be editing things. But I think they fixed that. I think that it's fairly stable now, but you have to be really aware of where you are in the document. I
Yeah.
cheated a bit and used my braille display because it was handy in showing me where I
That's
was.
not cheating. That's making the best use of resources.
Yeah. It doesn't even flow to the next page by itself. I have to advance character by character to get it to advance.
One thing
It's really
that
frustrating.
one thing you might try doing, which so somebody recommended to me, like making sure the sidebars are collapsed, the status bar, making sure, and then because once I did something like it was easier for me to navigate.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly what I did, but once just see, try to hide stuff on the window that you
Yeah.
don't need open, and see if that makes the navigation a bit easier.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I got some homework.
Yep. Okay, who would like to ask our next question?
Misty.
Misty.
First, I wanted to know about the quit nab of turning it off or even on because I'm not sure what I done, but I think I had it on and I've been having trouble ever since.
Okay, so
This is Pete.
yes, Pete?
Oh, go ahead, Chanelle. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, to turn it on and off, Misty, you use your right and left arrow key and press them down at the same time. And that kind of toggles it on and then toggles it off.
Oh, so it's not control option in the two arrows?
No, it's just the
Okay.
2 arrow, the left and the right arrow together.
Okay. And my second question is that when I'm on a Zoom call and I would like to leave while it's still going on, I used to could hit my control option and hit the right arrow until I hear the word leave or end. But now it's making me hit the control option D for the dock and then open the Zoom up again. And then I have to swipe to the left to find close.
So, does anybody in our class remember how we quit an app?
Command Q.
Yes, very good. I don't know who said that, but
Diane.
Well,
okay.
I am commanding Q, but it was still having me inside the meeting.
Yeah, this is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
If you're in a meeting, do Command W. That would be the command to close a window. When you're, Command Q will do it, but I think you'll have better luck if you do Command W because it will bring up a dialogue and your focus is already on the button that says leave meeting. So Command W and then VO spacebar and you are out. The Zoom app is still open, but I think you'll get out of the meeting at the least friction.
And I've done both of what you're saying, and I still ended up having to go to Control Option D and then open up the Zoom like I'm opening it up again, and then swipe to the left to hear the word close, and then I hit the Command W, and then that's when it'll take me out of it. But I'll be still hearing them talking while I'm doing this.
Go ahead, Pete.
I sometimes have to get to a different window. Like I might have gotten somehow into a different window, and I don't know what the different windows are, but if you do the Command accent, I think it is, or is it the command grav?
Yeah.
That will toggle you like from window to window, not from application to application. It won't take you out of Zoom, but it might take you to another open window, and that might be where your leave button is sitting. And then you go to the bottom of that window and you'll see the leave button. I've done that occasionally too.
And how did you do that part?
Well, you can VO right arrow until you get to the very end of the line there, and the last button is leave. And then you just VO space bar to execute that, to leave the, to press VO space bar on the leave
because
button.
it wasn't announcing that was the leave button. That's why I didn't know. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. Thanks, Misty. And who else has a question? All right, well, while we have this brief pause, because I totally forgot to do my demo at the beginning, which I always forget, I am going to show everyone how some keys that Herbie actually discovered here. Just making sure my rate was going to be good.
Out of past voiceover enabled application.
There we go. Okay, so while using his Bluetooth keyboard the other day, and he was actually on his iPhone and then found that this applied to the Mac, Herbie was able to press the FN key, or as some people and some keyboards call it, globe key, and the letter C to go to the control center. So I'll do that now. FN, or function C. Now, if you have your FN key could be in two different places, well, more if you have a non-standard Apple keyboard, but it's either at the bottom left-hand corner. There's 4 keys to the left of the spacebar, and your FN key is that bottommost left one, or on a full-size Apple Magic keyboard with numeric keypad, which I have, it is at the top of the 6-pack. So if I hit FN and the letter C.
Application, Control Center System Dialog, Display, Sound.
And there we have the control center. And then what you would do is VO right and VO left to go forward and backward as normal.
Selected Mac training, selected toggle button.
That's the name of my focus.
Bluetooth, select AirDrop.
So we see all the things that we have in our control center. I'm now going to press Escape to get out of the control center.
Loop back.
And now I'm going to press FN and the letter N. And guess what that brings up? Our notification center. So I kind of have to put one hand over another because my function key is in the 6-pack. But my left hand kind of goes over the top of my right hand, finds the FN key, and then the letter N.
Notification center, window, notifications list.
And I would then interact in the notifications list with VO shift down arrow. My VO key is caps lock, but you can also use control and option.
In notifications, list messages, stacked 31 minutes ago, Diane Scott.
All right, and that's my notifications. And then we can do things like VO command space to clear them, the usual things. But why this is so useful, I can never remember half the time whether VOO is control or notification center. I happen to know right now because I'm conscientiously thinking about it that pressing VO and the letter O takes you to the notification center. But sometimes I accidentally press VO Shift O when I mean VOO and vice versa and all that good stuff. So it can be really handy to know these keyboard shortcuts, and that's what I will teach. And just to add a little bit more complexity to this demo, FN and C, or FN and N, is an example of a Mac keyboard command. So anybody could use these regardless of whether or not they have VoiceOver on. Whereas the things we talk about like VOO, VO Shift O, even VOD, VOM, those are commands strictly for VoiceOver users. And believe it or not, there are actually some regular commands that do go to the menu bar and dock that still get you there without VoiceOver, needing to hit the VoiceOver keys. I don't remember what those are, but that's just my little quick tip for the evening.
One update.
And I'm going
VLC.
to
VoiceOver in on.
Turn that off. And, oops, let's see. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. Does anyone have any questions?
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
Well, you mentioned there were some non-voiceover ways to go to things like the mini bar and dock. I believe by default, the Control and F2 will take you to the menu bar. Control and F3 to the dock.
Okay.
I don't know if hitting Control F2 a second time takes you to menu extras. There also is Control F1 will turn off a lot of basic Mac OS keyboard commands.
You're
You can go
right.
to system settings now, not system preferences,
Yeah.
keyboard, and there is a button in there that says shortcuts.
Yep.
And it will bring up a typical window with a sidebar on the left with different categories. And then you stop interacting with that and move over to VO to the right. And then there is a list of all kinds of Mac keyboard commands that you can enable or disable as you desire. I usually disable that Control F1 because that way I don't inadvertently turn off some of these keyboard commands that I want to use. So anyway.
Yeah, I disable the mission control ones because I always constantly hit Control up arrow and those. Yeah, take you into an area.
Don't get me started on mission control. Well, it is accessible, but it's more trouble than it's worth, and there's much more efficient ways for a VO user to do everything that's in there. It's like a sighted user thing. It brings up a little window that shows everything that's running. You click on it with the mouse. It is accessible, but like I said, it's multiple steps to do something that can be done a lot more efficiently with some voiceover commands.
Yeah.
This is Pete.
Yes, Pete.
Can't you just get out of mission control by hitting the escape key?
Yes, but it's kind of. I sometimes I feel like that hasn't worked.
Yeah, this is Brad.
Currently unmuted.
Go ahead, Brad.
It's just a lot easier to disable it so that it doesn't even come up.
Because I'm always inadvertently hitting it. Yeah.
Yes. And yes, and escape does do it. There's also
so what triggers it? The control. What triggers it even?
Control
I
up
don't remember
and
because I turned it off. But there's what is it? Command down arrow?
I think it's Control up and Control down.
Maybe it. That's probably it. But I disable them. There's also, if you go to your system settings and go to trackpad, there are trackpad gestures. And I have gone into them and disabled them as best I could too. Because you can accidentally touch the trackpad and you've got mission control as well and some other things that I try to disable.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
So this is Diane?
Yes, Diane.
So how do you disable them? Is there a shortcut menu for that comes up for that, or?
This is Brad.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Which thing you talking about? The keyboard commands?
Yes.
They're check boxes. You go into system settings.
Oh, okay.
There a keyboard and there's a button there that says shortcuts.
Oh, okay. Okay, I've seen it.
Or in the old way, prior to Ventura, I think it was a tab for shortcuts. And you select a category in the sidebar on the left and VO over to the main part. And then for each category, there's a list of commands and there are check boxes. And you do the same thing by going to system settings and trackpad. And there's different categories for trackpad gestures. And you can disable a trackpad gesture if you just like I mentioned for mission control so that it doesn't inadvertently come up.
Yeah, that was one of the first things we learned in class, but I guess I'd forgotten about it.
I don't think we went into like how to disable gestures, which maybe I should. But yeah, we did spend some time in there. But if you have any further questions, definitely give it a try and then let us know. Yeah, go ahead, Corey.
Okay. I have a question about a Safari view. Sometimes I'm doing testing and I'm having to capture the video and the screen share in full screen mode, and there's often an issue with the sidebar and all of its contents being shown. Is there any way you can hide that in Safari, like the sidebar and the collection of links?
Yes.
Dialogue in there?
We are, well, so we kind of talked about that in one of our lessons.
Yeah, we did, and I can't remember for the life of me.
Well, you would have a look at the view menu and the menu bar. That would give you a start. And there's, I can't remember the command to disable the sidebar entirely. I want to say it was like Command Control S, but I can't remember. You can disable the favorites. That's again, we're going into that menu bar is so useful because you can toggle it there or be reminded of what the keyboard shortcut is. Does anybody else want to chime in on this?
Command Shift L will actually hide the sidebar.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Okay. I took your advice and I took it very immediately.
Okay. Yay. Awesome. I hope that helps.
Thanks, because they just don't want to see the sidebar.
No,
when they're capturing.
Yeah.
Diane?
Yes, Diane.
Just a real quick recap on how to clear notifications. You do the function N key and then you do voiceover spacebar to clear it?
Well, you interact first. So interacting is VO shift down arrow.
Okay.
And then what you want to do is bring up this thing called the voiceover actions menu. It's basically another menu. So you do VO command space. And once you bring up VO command space, then you arrow down to clear or close. Sometimes the different notifications say different things, but you want to look for clear, close, or dismiss.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Misty.
Yes, Misty.
While ago when you were showing the screen, for some reason, I don't know what I did, but it shifted everything to the right and I was not able to see the screen. Is there something I need to do to bring that back up here on the...
Oh, I wasn't showing the screen. I was just letting people hear my voiceover.
Oh, well, I just moved everything to the right and now all I have is a black screen and I usually can see all the participants' names and so forth, and I don't see any of that now.
Okay, and this is Zoom on your Mac.
Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't do anything special. I just shared my sound, but you can always, does anybody have any suggestions?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
I think when you're in Zoom, oh God, let me look in. Go to the meetings, go VOM, go to the meetings menu. There are several things in there. Like for one, I see enter minimal view. You may have done something about that. Mine says enter minimal view. If you're in minimal view, it will have a thing to get out of it. I can't remember what it says. There's gallery view. But look in there and you may find something that undoes what you did.
Okay.
This is Pete.
Yes, go ahead, Pete.
This is a stupid question and I'm embarrassed, but is there a screen curtain on the Mac?
There is.
There is.
And maybe she triggered somehow?
Yeah, the screen curtain is VO, what is it? VO Shift F11?
VO command, let me see.
And triple tap.
Yeah, three-finger triple tap. That's very good.
That's one way, yeah.
That's one way.
But you've got to have trackpad commander on for that.
Right.
It is.
I don't use the track.
It is VO Shift F11. We'll toggle screen curtain on or off, but
VO Shift what?
VO Shift F11 will toggle screen curtain on or off.
Okay.
Or you can, if you have the trackpad commander turn on, three-finger triple tap will do it too.
Okay.
That was just a shot in the dark.
No, good thought, Pete.
Did it come back?
But otherwise, like Brad said, have it go into the menu bar and take a look at that meeting menu. And I see what he's talking about. There's a bunch of stuff there that you can try. So, who would like to ask our next question?
Well, this is Z. I have a question
Yes,
that I've
Z.
been wanting to ask.
Sure.
The applications, because I remember either you or Herbie or possibly both mentioned that some you would download from the App Store and some you would download from the websites. How would you know which? Like if I wanted to download GBT, or that's what it's called, right? GBT?
GPT. Yeah.
GPT. Where would I go to do that? The App Store or I don't know.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
There is no hard or fast rule. Some things can be found in either, like Amadeus Pro.
Yeah.
Can be gotten from the App Store or from the developer's website. Zoom, you can only get from the developer's website. I mean,
really?
You know, you can get it from, you could always look, see if it's in the App Store. If it's not in the App Store, do a web search, Google search, whatever for an application, and you may find it on a website. It's, some things aren't available in the App Store. Their developers have not gone that route. Like I said, Zoom is not available through the App Store. You have to go to zoom.us to get it.
This is Pete.
Yes, Pete.
Isn't GPT a website? I don't think there is an app, or at least there wasn't until maybe recently.
Oh,
so isn't the website? What's the website? OpenAI.
It's chat.openai.com.
Yeah. I don't think there's an app for GPT. I may be wrong.
Actually, there is. There's
okay.
You can get. It's called Mac GPT.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's a nice one.
Oh,
thank you.
And it's free. But you have to. You give them your email, and they give you a link that you use to download it. But it is. I do. There's another one called Mac Whisper, which is just totally amazing thing. But anyway, Mac GPT is if you wanted it, but OpenAI, it's openai.com, chat.openai.com, I think it is.
Okay.
And you have to sign up. But once you sign up, then you can use I have GPT Plus because I pay for it. It gives me a more powerful model that I can use, but you don't have to have that.
Do you use it this is Pete, do you use it in your business or you just play with it?
I use it for some of the volunteer projects I do. And for my personal things, sometimes I'll want to write a YouTube comment or I'll want to write something and I want to say it in a less emotional way than so I'll put it in and ask GPT to write this in a professional way, and it'll come back and redo it so that it sounds a little less emotional. Because when you're watching a video, sometimes you can get a little carried away with yourself. So either Mac GPT is very accessible and really nice.
Okay. And that's for your phone and the MacBook? I mean, it's Mac. It's not.
The author, the person that developed Mac GPT does also have an iPhone app, but I haven't tried that. So I've only tried it on the Mac.
Is that the Perplexity app? Or is that?
No.
Or maybe that. Okay.
I know Perplexity. Yeah, that's another one I want to try. I haven't tried that one yet either.
I downloaded it. I haven't tried it. Okay.
Yeah. So the first thing you'll want to do is get signed up with OpenAI.
Okay.
That way you'll have you'll have an account. Like I said, I have the Plus version, but that's $20 a month. So you might not want to, do that right away. But
so you say chat.openai.com?
.com.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you, Lynn. And thanks, Z,
Yeah.
for the question. And yeah,
I
Z,
know
oh, go ahead.
the Mac GPT, I can't remember I don't have the link right in front of me to where to download that, but
But that's the type of thing you could Google, right? Just Mac
yes.
GPT and yeah. All
That's
right.
awesome. Okay, thanks.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. All this cool technology. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Dot.
Yes, Dad.
How do you pick up a phone call without touching the phone during, because I work with the Mac and then people call me.
Ooh. All right. How do you
I
answer?
tried the what is that, trackpad
Yeah.
commander, double finger magic tap thing, but it never works.
All right. Has anybody had practice answering a phone call on the Mac? Well, okay.
Diane?
Yes, Diane.
I know one thing, because I had to ask Joe about it. If you want to hook that up, you have to apparently set up Wi-Fi calling.
Yeah.
That's one thing you have to do, but I haven't gotten the hang either of how to actually answer a phone call.
It's Corey.
Yeah, go ahead, Corey.
I have found that the best way to try and do that is to, when you're hearing the phone ring, do a VON to get into to the notification center, and then you can get into the list and then just snap it from there.
Well, by the time I do that, then people.
Well, you just got to be quick. You got to have the fast drummer's hands, man.
Yeah, I have a fast guitar hand, but drummer is faster. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I don't remember. I know I remember I interact, but do I go to my notification center? Because sometimes it just appears right on but you're basically looking for an answer button. So
yeah, something like that.
So you interact but I think Corey's right. You can go to the notification with VON because that'll show you. I've always done VOO, but same difference. The notification probably stays up there, so VON is probably quicker. And then you would interact, and then
on list.
Yeah, guess. Well, I have my phone. Where's Herbie?
Brad.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, you don't need to interact. It's like you were already telling them about the actions menu, VON. And then in that list will be the notification that the phone is ringing. So you arrow down to it. You can either hit VO spacebar or just hit the enter key. Now your focus is on the notification, which is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Now open the actions menu, VO command spacebar, arrow down to answer.
Sounds complicated.
Like you said, you do it a few times, you'll learn to get really quick.
Yeah, I know I've done it, but it's like, what do I do?
But you don't need to interact. Beginning with Big Sur, they changed, I don't know why, but you can interact and there's these buttons in there, but you can't do anything with them. So don't waste your time interacting. Just open the actions menu. Because you already know what it is because you selected it from the notifications VON, that will only show you notifications that are on the screen. If I get these notifications from something like Dropbox that so-and-so has added a file and they pop up and then they go away. You can't access those with VON after they've gone away. You have to go, like Chanelle's talking about, to VOO to the notification center. But if it's a banner that's on the screen, either just a temporary one that's up there while the phone is ringing, VON, it'll show you the list of, notifications that are on the screen. Select it, and then your what do we say? Your actions menu, VO command spacebar.
All right, very
Somebody
good.
call me now.
Well, I
comment
kind
out.
of can't.
Just kidding. No, just kidding.
Let's play. Maybe maybe
Just
Herbie
kidding.
will let us play with this in the study session. Probably not
Yeah,
this
okay,
week's,
okay.
but some of yeah, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to let us play. So anyway,
Oh,
that's a
thank
great
you.
question,
Thank you,
and
everyone.
thanks, Brad, for the clarification. And
Thank you.
because I'm always getting things wrong. Anyway, who has the next question?
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri. Welcome.
Thank you. So I've got another crazy question. So I've got my MacBook Pro connected to a Belkin dock or a hub, whatever you want to call it. Now, every time I reboot my MacBook Pro, it's getting stuck on the Apple logo. And I'm having to undock it, and then it'll go back to the desktop. So I'm trying to figure out, is this the Ventura issue, or is it because I've turned like file vault on?
Okay, I'm not even sure I fully understand what a docking station does or is for or
It's just,
whatever.
well, it's basically just, all my ports are connected to the docking station, like my printer, my keyboard, my external drives, and then turn is plugged into one of the ports on the Mac.
Is it asleep? Oh, sorry, it's Corey. Is it asleep when you actually plug into the docking station?
No, this is a reboot issue. When I'm rebooting, it's getting stuck on the Apple logo.
And okay, and it's when you all the time or just when you
all the time now? It's like
all the time. That sounds a little like there might be some minor corruption. Maybe have you run disk utility? Just check things out, make sure that the file system's okay.
Well, I did do something with Apple Accessibility. They did something about some type of a reset. It didn't work.
That smells. It almost smells like it's some sort of firmware or bootstrap thing.
Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
I think it's a Ventura issue. Shri, have you tried just doing a one finger click on your trackpad?
One finger click. No, I haven't tried that.
Try it. It'll put focus back on the desktop. This has been going on with me. I have two different Macs. I got two different setups. My desktop Mac, my MacBook Pro. They both do weird things when they first boot up and they're on the logon screen. I get a variety of issues. And it has been going on since Ventura first came out. What are we on? 13.3 now? It's been doing it on all of them.
But I'm not even getting that far. This is basically where the initial Apple logo is on the screen, where the process bar is before. This is even before getting to the desktop. This is like right after the
you're talking
post.
about the login screen where you type in your
password. No. This is basically before. This is where when you power it on and it's booting up, it's got the Apple logo as it's going through the.
Okay. No,
it's not even getting. It's before the progress bar, even before the Apple logo is there. It's almost like it's stuck as soon as it starts to reinitiate the boot.
And you were saying it's stuck when it's on the docking station, but it's fine when it's off the docking station?
Yeah, because I had somebody visually see it.
Huh.
But I wasn't sure if it's like file vault or something of the drive that's saying, hey, I don't recognize this. I'm not,
Yeah, that's strange. But if you do it without the docking being, is it like a little hub that sits on the table?
It's like a full port replicator,
But I mean, is it something that just plugs into a Thunderbolt port on your Mac, or is it like a dock that your Mac fits into? Snaps?
No, it's the port, the Thunderbolt.
Just a hub that's sitting there next to you. Well, try booting up without that thing plugged in, and
it works.
If you can consistently find, and I would say the issue is that hub. I have a hub, some kind of a CalDigit hub, and I can't tell that I have any issue on the machine that has it versus the one that doesn't have it. And I don't have a consistent issue either. Just sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
so I've been led to believe it's just Ventura.
I've had a lot of issues after I got into Ventura, and I did turn on the file vault. That's just the behavior. That's when I started noticing it. So is there a way to turn the file vault off?
Yeah, same way you turned it on.
Yeah, I just don't know how I did it.
Go to privacy.
Settings.
Yeah, I remember where it was before. System settings and privacy and security, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Which used to be called security and privacy. They reversed the name.
Yeah.
And I believe it's in there.
Okay.
And then it'll take a while. It'll do a little process of undoing it. You don't touch it while it's doing that process, but it can be turned off.
Yeah, it's under the security heading. I just looked. So
Yeah.
first you'll see all the stuff related to privacy, and then
Right.
you have the security heading, and yeah.
Well, either that or I can just not reboot my Mac and I'll be fine. Because after it goes back to the desktop, I just plug my hub back in and everything's hunky dory.
Yeah. Now, it could be have to do with file vault,
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right. Excellent. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Merle.
Yes, Merle, go ahead.
Well, mine is on my Mac. Every once in a while, my voiceover goes away. I can try to do, go to Control F5, and it won't do nothing. Nothing will talk to me. And I end up have to shut the Mac down and then restart it, and then everything starts working again. Is there a reason for that, or and I've noticed that I've been losing my voice on my iPhone too every once in a while.
Okay. Would anyone like to help Merle?
Pete?
Yes, Pete?
Oh, just a quick check, Merle. You're using Command F5, I guess, right? Not Control.
Yeah, Command F5.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to rule that one out.
Well, I don't. I get the names. I mix them up all the time.
Yeah, that's all right. As
It's
long as
easy
you
to
know
do.
how to do it with your touch. Yeah.
And I don't think you use the trackpad at all, correct? Because you could be accidentally muting voiceover if you. Okay.
Yeah, I got my trackpad turned off, and I use that external keyboard with the numpad.
Right. Yep.
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
Have you, repeat, the issue is turning voiceover on and off. You're having trouble using Command F5, right?
Yeah, well, what it is I'll be doing something, and all of a sudden my voiceover will go away. And so then I tried to turn it back on, but nothing happens. Nothing will talk to me. So then I have to literally just reboot the computer, and then it'll come back up, and everything will start talking again.
Have you tried pressing? Do it slowly, but you say you press Command F5. Nothing happens. You wait a few seconds and press Command F5 again.
Yep.
This is Diane.
Yes.
You might, one time that happened to me, and I somehow had muted my speaker. So if you do a volume up key, that fixed it for me.
Oh, yeah.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
Could this be kind of an OS issue? Like he didn't get a good accessibility voiceover update on the machine? Because it's stopping it in the middle of something doesn't sound normal.
Well, I didn't think it was either, but
no.
Mine does it too occasionally. Do we both have Mac Minis?
No, I have a MacBook Air.
Is it possible that during the installation they didn't get a really good install of the OS, and maybe is there like a utility update that they can do?
I have no idea.
This is Diane. One time
Diane.
it happened to me, and it turned my speech off, even though voiceover was on. I must have hit some sequence of commands that turned speech off. And I ended up spending about an hour with Apple Accessibility trying to reverse it.
Yeah, sometimes pressing the F10 key by itself, if you haven't changed the behavior of function keys, that will mute all sound. But if one of the first things we do in the class is change it so that you have to actually press FN and then the F10 to do things like that. So
Yeah, because I did that once before I
Right.
changed that, and then I had a heck of a time getting it to come back on. I had to call accessibility, and they helped me get it back on.
This is Pete.
Yes, Pete?
I just wanted to reiterate what Brad was heading for there, Merle, and I'm not doubting your answer, but when he said, when you hit the Command F5 the first time, the Mac may be reading that as turning voiceover off. So if you do it a second time, wait a few seconds,
Yeah.
and then hit that Command F5 a second time, that might be your voiceover on command. So and you said you did that twice, but it's important because I've done that too, and I have to do it a second time.
And if I do it too soon, it doesn't work. You have to give it. I know exactly what you're talking about, Pete.
Okay,
yeah.
And I don't wait very long.
Yeah, this
is give
Brad.
it 4 or 5 seconds, maybe. Go ahead, Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I was trying to say before, but I didn't get to finish. Was you do it once, you wait. You do it twice, you wait. And I know this makes no sense. I find sometimes it comes on when I do it the third time. And I'm like, well, that's an odd number. Why didn't it come on when I did it the first time? I don't know, but I'll tell you, because I have a little bit of vision and I can see, like when I'm in my mail app, the inbox will have a big white outline around it. That's the voiceover cursor. And I can see that it's there. I do it once, it goes off. I do it again, it doesn't come back on. But it's when I do it the third time, the outline comes back and voiceover starts talking.
Okay,
so this is a Ventura thing. I don't know why.
Yeah. As an alternative in Ventura, guys, it's Corey. I found that if the Command F5 is giving you the grief and the misery, and you've got your Siri set up, I just command Siri to shut voiceover off and then back on.
You do that too.
Because you know what? Sometimes one thing just doesn't work the way you want it to. Ours is not to reason why. Ours is just to get back to work.
Right.
So, we just get on with it another way, and hopefully we can get a solution.
Very true. Got to remember that old Siri. Point. Yeah. I always forget.
Could it be, this is Pete.
Yeah,
could it be an issue of, I don't know, not enough memory, not enough processing power that might cause it to shut down?
I don't think so.
No.
I've got an M1 Max with 64 gigabytes of RAM, and I have it happen. So it ain't processing power,
and I think
it
Merle,
is not enough RAM.
Yeah.
I think Merle has an M1 Mac too. So
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I experienced it on my M1 Max, so it makes me wonder then.
Yep.
What it could be.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes me upset because I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to learn this stuff. And then all of a sudden I thought, did I push the wrong button to get this thing where it quit talking,
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the F5 key and I, but I don't wait that long. So maybe I'm just getting too impatient,
Yep.
And the trick is to hold down command, hold it for a second, then press the F5 and yeah.
Okay, because I push them both about the same time. I push the command and I right away hit the F5.
Well, that would probably, just make sure you're hitting the command key first and holding it down.
Yep.
All right. Well,
that helps because I think I might be able to figure it out now, maybe, hopefully.
And try to remember or take note or just remember when did it happen? What were you last doing? Maybe try to write a note or something on your phone or ask Siri to do a note, and to tell so you can remember, does this always happen when I'm in mail? Does it happen when I'm in messages? Just try to keep track of that.
Well, I've been noticing, I've been into voice help and all of that, we're hitting VO F8, bringing up that commander. Right. And it's happened in there a couple of times, and it also has happened in just happened today when I was in Safari. So, I mean, there's really no rhyme or reason why it's doing it. It just does it.
All right. Well, hopefully the suggestions help. And
I think they will, because
good.
it gives me to say, slow down. Well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Who has our next question?
This is Judy.
Yes, Judy.
Okay, this is I just started using AirPods a few months ago, and I have like an older set. I don't think I think they're I don't know what I don't even know what they are, but they're older. But anyways, if I put them in my ears, then I open my Mac lid. Often it doesn't come through my ears; it comes through the Mac instead. So I have this long process that I go to connect them. And I'll tell you the process. And I was just wondering if there's like a fast shortcut I could
This is
do
Herbie.
instead of what I do. I'm sorry?
I have some solutions for you
I think it was
already.
Herbie and then Brad, but
So you don't even need to hear the long process.
Yeah, I was wondering
that I go
if
through?
Nope.
Okay,
All
go ahead,
right.
Herbie.
So one of the things you can do in AirPods is have it remember your last connected device. And so this is really handy. So instead of it guessing which one it should connect to, you can tell it to remember your last device. So mine will, for instance, like now it knows that it connected to my iPhone last. So when I put them on my head, that's what they should connect to. But I can switch it to my Mac, and it will recognize it as and every time I put them on my head, then it'll recognize the Mac. And that's
But how do
probably
you
the
switch it
easiest
to your
way.
Mac?
And how do you switch it to your Mac? Well, I'm so glad you asked. So the easiest way, well, there's one of two ways. What I do is I go through the menu extras, I go to Bluetooth, and then I just VO space on the AirPods, and it'll automatically switch them over.
Okay.
Okay, that's okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think Brad had something.
Yes. I believe I heard you say you put them in your ears and then you open the lid on your Mac. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the problem there. You put them in your ears. I would open the lid on your Mac. Well, two things here. First, open the lid on your Mac first. Now it's awake. Then when you put them in your ears, it's looking, it will get the signal that the AirPods send after they go in your ears. You put them in your ears, they send a signal that says, they're in your ears, but the Mac isn't awake to receive the signal.
All right.
Okay.
That
The
makes
other
sense.
thing, I believe Herbie said to set your in your settings for go into your settings for the AirPods. In Bluetooth settings, you'll find them there, and set it to, you got two choices, connect when last connected. In other words, it'll stay connected to the Mac unless you connect them to something else. Or there's this other one, Apple seems to think this is a great idea. I don't, that it'll just switch among your Apple devices. It decides, your iPhone, your Mac. It'll just go back and forth.
I saw
and
that.
I turned that off.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I've had like every pair of AirPods since I love AirPods. So I got a bunch of them. But the other thing to tell you about, there is a utility you can get from the Mac App Store. It is called Tooth Fairy. I can't remember what it costs. It's like maybe $5.99, something like that. But if you buy it once, you can actually install it on more than one Mac. If you have more than one Mac, or you get another Mac later, you can re-download it from the App Store. It not only works with AirPods, but any Bluetooth device. But I find it particularly helpful with AirPods. You can go into it, and when it runs, you can tell it to run at startup, so it's always running. And you can assign a keyboard command for a certain Bluetooth device, like your AirPods. I picked for my regular AirPods 3, Command Option and the letter Z, because it's not doing anything if that keyboard command isn't used. So whenever I hit Command Option Z, it will connect.
I
So if
love
for
it.
some reason they don't seem connected, it'll make your Mac send a signal to the AirPod to connect.
Fantastic. I love doing those like keyboard commands. So that's really cool. And I don't have to go into Tooth Fairy at all. You said it just runs.
No, it's in your menu
background.
bar. It's in the menu extras. It's just running.
Wow.
And it's up there.
That's
and I
cool.
have mine is set to, I have a keyboard command for regular AirPods, my AirPods 3, AirPods Pro, and the AirPod Max headphones. And I got a keyboard command for each of them. So that, and I can switch, if I've got them on, I can actually switch from one Mac to the other with the keyboard command and then go back. And, if I'm doing something where I'm going from one to the other, I don't even have to take them out of my ears. And then the other method that Herbie talked about will work too. You can go to your sound in the menu extras and do it that way too. But to me, it was worth a one-time, I can't remember how much it was because I bought them a long time ago. $5.99, $4.99, something like that.
Penny, so.
Yeah, it was worth it.
I said if you're like me and you constantly switch devices a lot with your AirPods Max, then it could be worth whatever it is.
Well, you know what? I don't switch them. I just keep it on my Mac all the time, just for convenience sake. Yeah. But you guys definitely both had really good ideas.
Yeah, well, try opening that lid first. I think that will cure your problem right there.
Okay.
Make sure the Mac is awake before you put them in your ears.
Okay.
Shree, go ahead.
So Brad, does that apply to just headphones, or can you use it for keyboards and so other Bluetooth devices?
You can use it for any Bluetooth device, but I have never used it for anything other than AirPods. Because I don't take keyboards and switch them from one device to another, although I suppose you could. I mean, my Mac Studio has a Apple Magic extended keyboard, but I don't use that keyboard or anything else. And the MacBook Pro has its own keyboard, but I've just never had a need for anything else. But yes, you can use it for any Bluetooth device.
And this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
So 2 questions and a comment. Comment first. One of the reasons why I constantly switch is, for instance, sometimes I prefer to use Zoom on the Mac, and I want to just switch my headphones and use that, but I sometimes switch back to the phone because I want Dolby Atmos. And so it really depends on what I'm using. But my question is, do you have any convenient shortcuts to switch back to it using the phone? No, because in the phone I have to go to settings.
No, because the app, the Tooth Fairy app is for the Mac.
No, okay. No, I was just wondering if you had any other
Tooth Fairy.
No, that's it.
Brad did a demo of this on one of them. I don't remember which Mac and Talk, but
yeah, it's been a long time. Year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It's a nice app.
Wow.
I learned about it on David Woodbridge does a little whatever he calls his podcast, and I learned about it on there. So
very
bought
cool.
it like instantly. It was very nice.
Yeah.
I think I've been using it since I don't know, 2019, 2018, something like that.
Okay.
Wow. A lot of ideas here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Who has our next question?
This is Dot.
Yes, Dot.
I have a kind of related question to audio devices. So I have set my sound like I'm also in the Mac training class, by the way. So I have set the sound according to the instruction to have the voiceover speech on a Mac, even though I'm plugged in or paired to other devices, non-headphone devices, like loudspeaker and stuff. That's fine. But then I plug my headphone in, like wire headphone, and then I don't hear voiceover. I don't hear voiceover in my headphone. I don't know. And I hate going roundabout and switch.
Yeah. What is probably before you plug in your headphones? Well, actually, does anyone else want to answer?
I had a
do
problem
a shortcut
like that.
or something. Yeah, I have a short. Is there a shortcut, a brief,
So
quick way
Corey had
to
a
switch back and
problem.
forth?
I had a problem with the same thing. You have to go into sound
And switch it
Yeah,
over.
and you have to
and then
switch it
switch it to
once.
default. You know.
Yeah, but you usually only have to do it once.
So, what I would recommend is going into your voiceover, going into sound, and making sure voiceover is set to your external speakers. Then plug in your headset.
Yeah, I could do that.
Because that would
But then,
probably, right, Herbie? Is that
No, system default.
well, but
system default. Yeah, system default.
yeah.
Then
Which
it'll
is the
switch
loudspeaker.
to whatever your system default is.
And Herbie, you're
If you
muted.
plug headphones in, that becomes your
System
default.
default. Okay, let's try that. Yikes, sorry.
System default. Okay.
System default. The external speakers are literally the external speakers, so that means that you could be wearing headphones and have voiceover coming
And
out.
have
Yeah,
voiceover.
but the voiceover. He was saying the voiceover doesn't come.
That's why you want it to be moved to set voiceover to be system default.
Right. I thought he couldn't
Default,
hear the
yeah, that's fine.
voiceover. I'm sorry.
No, he can't
Yeah,
hear it out of those headphones.
Not the wire headphone or
Yeah.
any other.
Yeah, you
But want
it-
the other mode is the what's it called, the MacBook Air speaker or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the speakers built in.
Yeah, but those are the
the
built-in
built-in
speakers.
speaker.
But if you wanted to switch headphones on you, then I would set your voiceover to come out of system default. I personally don't like my voiceover switching just because if I make any sound card changes and something screws up and it does not go back to it can get frozen. I can lose
Weird,
voiceover
right.
in the process, and so I personally don't like to switch voiceover that much unless I absolutely have to. But that's so I'd like to do it just manually myself. But you can, if you set it to system default, then it'll follow your default sound card.
Did it start again? Is there no way to have it automatic like the iPhone? When I have my headphone plugged into the iPhone, my voiceover automatically in my head.
So what you need, this is Herbie.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
go
what
ahead,
you
Herbie.
you need to do too. So the phone is not a computer, and I want to make that clear because you have no control over the phone. What you need to do on the computer is when you have your headphone plugged in, make sure it is set to make sure it is actually indeed your system default for your sounds and
Yeah, I can do
your
that.
output. Make sure it's your system default. That way,
Okay.
and then of course make sure voiceover is set to that. That way, whenever you unplug them, and whenever you unplug them and you plug them back in, it'll automatically default back to them from your other whatever your other system default is, and so that's how you can have it be like the phone in that regard.
Oh, so you're talking about two different sound thing, like sound thing for
Yes.
voiceover, and the sound thing for the whole computer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
The phone, you're tied to whatever it decides to use. You're a lot more limited. So
Okay. So the Mac.
now
Maybe
I
I'll try
do
that.
have an interesting question.
Yes.
And this is a little bit on the technical side, and it's not voiceover, but something I've been wondering: is there anything I can do on my Mac to improve Bluetooth reception? Because what I've noticed is if I move around in my house apartment, which is not very big to begin with, there's like sometimes it just cuts out, like I lose the signal. But if I switch those same headphones, whatever speaker, to my phone, I do
Corey.
not have the problem. Corey, yes.
Yes. If your apartment's not that big, or your living domestic situation isn't big, Bluetooth has a lot of problems if you block it out because it's very line of sight, and it's
Right.
not a very strong signal. So if there's like a pillar or something obstructing the signal, I'm not sure unless you wreck the place that there's much you can do. I think that there's sometimes you can get antennas. I don't know if lately if you can because I haven't checked it out, but you can get boosters for it. Kind of like Wi-Fi
Brad?
boosters.
Okay.
You can get
Yep, Brad.
Bluetooth extenders.
Using that MacBook Pro 16, right? I mean,
Yep.
15,
Yep.
right? Or 16, whichever one it is.
16. I think it's a 16. But
And
whatever
the
it is.
antenna's around the screen. So
Yep.
in an apartment, I mean, I'm in a 1,600 square foot house. And granted, my office is in a loft up over the kitchen, so I'm up. It's up higher. But I find that, for example, with my AirPod Max, it depends on the device. Is where I'm going with this. I can be on my AirPod Max and listen. I have something going on Zoom or whatever coming from my MacBook Pro. I can walk all over the house, and I don't lose the signal anywhere. But if I have a different device on, it's a different story. My Bose QC35 headphones aren't as good as the AirPod Max. The AirPod Pro, I can do the same thing. I can walk all over the house. I can go out to the driveway to take the trash out. I can get all the way to the trash, but as soon as I step off the driveway, I lose the Bluetooth. And the reason is there's a wooden fence that's got all kinds of nails in it that hold the vertical planks up to the horizontal bars. And that, I believe, causes the problem. It's the nails in there. Then I move back out in front of the fence. Boom, it comes right back if I haven't lost it. But so my point was, it seems to depend on the device. I don't know so much about line of sight because I'm all over the house. I'm in the back bedroom. I'm in the closet hanging up laundry. I've gone around several corners. I don't think it's line of sight. It's going through the walls. But I think it depends. I think your Mac has a good antenna around the screen, and then it depends on the device you're using. Are you having this issue with your AirPod Max?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. I can go into the bathroom, for instance, and I can just turn my head a certain way or turn around, and sudden, whoop, signal is gone. It's
there's something in the walls. Then I would think pipes or something, just like my fence.
Okay.
It's because you're an apartment. Are you on the first floor?
Yep. Well, second
floor. You got
floor.
pipes going up to the second floor, so I would think there's something in that wall that's doing it.
Right.
We're on the second.
But you got a third floor?
No.
Okay. Well,
but
I don't know.
Does this Shriek?
Okay. Yep.
Old building.
Do you have other devices like your microwave and other devices close by?
No, the microwave is pretty far away from the bathroom, and it's right by the kitchen. Because it's right by the kitchen.
No landline phone?
No.
I'm always walking around with a Bluetooth thing constantly connected to me, my Dexcom, but that wouldn't be.
But what's interesting is I don't have the problem. What's interesting is I don't have the problem with my phone, so maybe it's just a matter of. That's what's interesting is I don't have that problem with my phone. It's strictly with the Mac, so maybe it just doesn't like its location.
Well, is the Mac running Bluetooth 5.0 or is it running an older version?
I believe it's 5.0.
And you have what iPhone do you have?
I have an iPhone 13.
I wonder if is it running Bluetooth 5.1 or I'm sorry, 5.1?
I think the Bluetooth of the iPhone is newer. It could be running a newer
Bluetooth on the 2019.
Yeah, that could be a reason too.
What about a fireplace? Do you have one of those?
No.
This is Merle. I use Bluetooth hearing aids, and I have the same problem if I have my phone sitting here by the computer and I walk back to my bathroom, which is, I don't know, it's down the other end of the house and around the corner. In there, I lose it. But I can walk into my bedroom, which is further away, and through more walls, and it comes right back. It's only because I think what it is all your plumbing that you have in your bathroom.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I got wiring running in the walls, and I've got.
Well, I don't feel like wrecking my place, so.
No, I wouldn't want to wreck it either.
Like Corey said, get out the pile driver.
But if I wreck the place, I'm gonna give them Corey's information and say, "Hey, Corey,
Corey will pay for all my damages, huh?"
Yep.
There you go.
This is Shri.
Yep.
Yes, Shri.
So I've got another question. So this is an Amadeus Pro question. So occasionally when I do a new recording, it's coming dead air. Like I know it's recorded because it's taking up some time slot, but when I play it, I just hear silence.
So this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
Have you checked the obvious, like you're making sure it's using your microphone and correct output device.
Yeah, because as soon as if I close it and open up a new track or new session, it works perfectly fine.
Really? But you have double checked the settings, though, just to be sure.
But would that would still carry over to the next new track that I open up?
I mean, I would think so, but just this is the first thing I would do just to double check to make sure everything is set the way you expect.
It's just weird that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's weird. I'm just saying it's something I would double check. Just because what have you got to lose by double checking to make sure, okay, yeah, it is set to the correct output device, it is set to the correct input device. So that's the first thing I would check. And I guess the other thing I would do is, like, have you tried doing like a test recording, just to make sure that, because I always, when I record a new file, I usually will start by doing just a quick test recording to make sure everything is working and play it back. And I have gotten the silence that way, actually, but when I undo and redo the recording, then it tends to work. So I usually don't record just straight through. I usually do a little test first, because my things could accidentally change on me, or I may forget what I'm set to. So but I always usually do a quick test recording first. So
be sure you're not blocked by some sort of a marker that you've previously put in there, like your P marker or something like that, because sometimes that'll hose you up and it just won't advance. And sometimes you can free that up if you're somehow stuck like that. Do a right arrow and a left arrow key to kind of get you out of the corral if you're stuck. But other than that, check your mixer. What are you using, the P4? And just be sure that like Harvey said, double check, do your troubleshooting. But it shouldn't just, jump randomly from one session to a next, and work in one and not in the other, unless maybe you've got a marker or something previously put into the file that may be, maybe your tab key's not working or your space bar's not working.
This is straight. Why I can tell it's my recording, what I record, let's say it's 10 seconds, it's blank, because I'll hear blank and then I'll hear the something that, to the next marker was there. So I know that every time I create it, I just close it out and open up a new one, and it works perfectly fine.
Well, I know Brad and I were playing one time and we couldn't get past something, and I think it turned out to be a marker, didn't it, Brad? Or something that was hosing it up, just keeping it from.
Remember what it was?
Yeah.
So this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
One thing I'll mention with markers is if you're working in a file, at least one way I found of clearing them out is if I go to the top with an option home, and then if I do set my insertion point and do a select all and a command delete, that will clear out all the markers in a file. But I'll make sure that I've looked at my time spot first so I can easily get back to it, because so if you're dealing with a
iBUG, command G. Also, sorry to interrupt, Pete,
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a specific command to clear all markers. If you do, you go into your selection menu and then go to C, you'll clear all markers. And
I do that all the time.
Markers can be a bugaboo sometimes. They'll be there when you've forgotten that you placed them. So try that. And otherwise, try your tab key if you're not using that to initiate the playback from the beginning of the file. If you're just using your space bar, because I think you were doing that the other day when we were talking, try your tab key if you want to just play from the beginning of a file on a new recording.
And just, like I sometimes use the space bar to move, in little by little by little. Is there a way to do that going backwards?
Little by little. Oh, to adjust your selection.
Yeah.
Size.
So let's say.
Yeah, use your ASDF keys. When you do your best you can. So you put your P. What I do to mark a selection, at the beginning of the selection, I'll put the P. Then I'll hit the space bar to let it play, and I'll do the best I can to locate the right hand, the end of the selection, and I'll do the command Y, and then I'll select back to the P by command left arrow. Then you go to your left hand, your A and your S and your D and your F keys will adjust those right and left margins on your selection according to how wide or low your zoom is. And you can adjust your zoom by going either to the percentage, or you can use your equal sign and your plus sign, but you need to get into those AS. Your left hand completely can manipulate your selection size, and can get very, very fine tuned. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and you have, because we are at the end of our time. I know when you did our bits presentation, which was amazing. A lot of this is just going over my head, but I think you said you had some tutorials somewhere that you've written or done. Is that on your blind ability site or?
Yeah. There's actually, I did two series. You're welcome. On blindabilities.com, there's the process of creating a podcast, and then there's another one that's the Amadeus Pro tutorial series. And if you do a search, you'll find those.
All right. So if anyone wants to go more in depth, we are out of time. Thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing the great questions. And we will see you at the end of May. I forgetting what the date is, but the 4th Tuesday, same time, same place. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thanks, Chanelle. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.